Hey guys, it's Istebrak. So this month's topic is going to be a little bit of a back step towards my previous paintings. And I feel like I really was waiting for pieces that were really similar to each other in order to do a video like this, which is just talking about how I started painting. And I need to start this video by showing you and telling you that I never know where every painting is going to go, really. I never really know if it's going to be something successful that I keep, if it's going to be something successful but throw aways, if it's going to be something crappy that I completely throw away, or if it's going to be one of those big pieces that I put up on my website that I really, really like. So I never know going in. But a lot of these start the same way. And the failure that, whether or not it ends up in the recycle bin or on my website, the difference would just be how much time I put into it, whether or not I'm feeling it, whether or not the inspiration's there, whether or not it's like a character that I feel close to or representative of my, current state or something like that, or something expressive. That's really it's all the intrinsic value of the painting that makes me keep it. But the technical value is all the same. It all starts in the same way. It all starts with the same initial brushstrokes, which are large blocking brushstrokes. I map out the piece. I stay zoomed out. You have to remember that, no matter how good you think you are or good you're getting, there's no point in your career that you're going to stop needing to zoom out or stop blocking. Because once you do that, you'll drop the ball. And you can tell when there is an insecure stability in the focal point in a painting. You can tell when brushstrokes are inconsistent and without finesse or grace. You can tell when the artist is sort of giving up. You can tell if the artist has no control over their detail spread or their detail cluster. You can tell. So the way I can tell, of course, is just by looking for these exact artifacts that I just mentioned. But also mostly in the process, and after all of my years of painting and looking and overlooking my successful and unsuccessful time-lapse processes, I found that they all start the same. And the fact that a painting fails has to do with whether or not I stick to it and keep etching away at it and keep carving away. A lot of the painting process I've mentioned before is for every 2 steps that you take forward, you take 1 step back. And that's just what painting is. You're not going to take 100% of the choices you make while you're painting. 100% of your brushstrokes aren't going to be successful ones. You're going to have more unsuccessful brushstrokes than successful ones. It's as you paint that you give yourself something to correct. So as long as you're blocking, you have less to correct, but you're still moving in a positive trajectory, meaning that you're moving towards a successful control of your core shadows. You're moving in the direction where your edges are prioritized and they're preserved and they are placed respective to the geometry they represent. So there is no single edge that I've placed that I have, an insecurity with. Those are the kinds of successful brushstrokes, I would say. And the unsuccessful ones would be whether or not I did something dark enough, whether or not I did something crispy enough, like a nice crisp edge, crispy, whether or not I did a brushstroke in the likeness that I intended. So is the eyebrow facing in the right direction? Those are the things that I have to go and get lasso and get the transform tool and reposition. So remember that it's not supposed to be you thinking that as you improve, you're entering a state of painting where you are this super being, where every brushstroke is accounted for, and every thought and every thing that you do with your painting is going to be a successful, finesse-filled dance. It's not. The best of us make mistakes. And we have some really serious mistakes that come back to haunt us if we don't correct them. And if we think about blocking early and zooming out, we always maintain control over the general look and feel of the painting, even in the early brushstrokes. And one of the most common comments that I get in my stream from my viewers is how quickly something read. They looked away for a second, they came back, the painting was nearly done. That's just what blocking is. It's beautiful. It gives your painting what it needs. It gives the painting exactly what it needs, which is the edges and the core shadows. And I really can't stress how important it is to have that. So this is the finished piece because I thought it was important to show how it looks once it's done. And I'll be doing that for the rest of the process. This is a different painting. This is one where I kind of moved back to my initial style of painting, which is blocking with my number 2 dry oil brush from my oil set, and which can be found on my website if you're interested in those. They will be rewarded this month for apprentices, though. And a combination of my soft brush, which is in my skin and blending set. And again, you don't blend unless you have something to blend. And if your blocks aren't there, respective to each of the geometry they represent, either the sphere of the eye or the folds or the crease or the trench or the edge or the nose or a cast shadow, if the edges aren't there, if there isn't a block accounted for every one of these early on in the painting, it'll be very difficult for you to have the courage to overlay such a large and invasive brushstroke on a detailed or half detailed or medium detailed late game draft in your portrait. So it's a very practical choice to stay close to your brushstrokes in their large form and entertain as many edges as possible early on. More edges than you need so that you can blend away what you don't need, and once you're done blending, the read is instantaneous. So for instance, if you graduated the cheek values with brushstrokes that are large and blocked, you didn't use soft brush yet, and then suddenly you blend them because everything else is blocked as well, you'll notice you hardly blend around the eyes, but you blend it around the cheeks and suddenly the face looks complete. So things that fat pockets are what we're blending and keeping, phony excursions are the ones that we're keeping. And so you can see here I follow up with the soft brush as a replacement for the smudge tool in this case, and that's just me going back to my initial stage. But I do smudge, I just don't like to over smudge if I can pull it off with a soft brush, which is just similar to using the smudge tool traditionally, but using the smudge tool with lead on it as well. So sometimes I paint or sketch with the smudge tool because it's already filled with lead from when I smudged last. It has color in it. And so that's a similarity of me using soft brush as I paint. But yeah, it's all the same thing. Zooming out helps you maintain this level of control over the destination. So I showed you, you will have seen 3 successful paintings all start the exact same rough, weird, alien looking early stage way. And I need you to take a moment and appreciate that it was just a bunch of successful brushstrokes and block that helped me see the general image I'm aiming for, capture as much of the vision as possible. But at the end of the day, they are still very rough and very ugly. And you can say that I wasn't at all aware of where it was going to go. You can successfully say that. Even if I have references, and usually I have 3 references on my side, I still don't know where the painting is going to go and whether or not it will be successful. And that's the worst part of being an artist. You don't know, and the fear of failure is really what gets us at the end, because we don't know whether or not we will be successful. We don't know if we were just one shot ponies, or whatever that's called, or one trick. I don't know what it's called. The term is. We don't know if we're going to repeat the success again. I know that I can repeat the portrait I just painted again, but I don't know if I'll repeat it success with a whole new face. But again, just looking at this for me personally as a personal journal entry, as just a way for me to gain faith again back in my skill set, I just watch these old processes and just remember how crappy the paintings were starting out, and how all I had to do was stick to it and keep zoomed out and enlarge my brush strokes, keep them heavy, keep them confident, respect all my geometric anatomy, respect my core shadows, and even if it was going to fail, it started off very, very well and created a beautiful foundation of confidence in my technique for my next painting and the painting after that and the painting after that. And that's another thing, even that for every one successful painting you guys see, there's 5 unsuccessful ones you guys don't see, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't delete those so that you guys can see the unsuccessful crap as well. A lot of the people think that a lot of professionals have this this confidence or self kind of stabilizing confidence. I don't know what to say, how to describe it, but we don't. And I'm not that much of a professional, to be honest. I have my mistakes, I have my issues, but not for all of the artists I've ever seen talk on interviews. They all have that same fear of failure that we deal with. as beginners. And I need to remind you guys, not every painting starts off looking nice and fresh, and it's the dedication you put into it, it's the conviction with which you execute, and it's the conviction that keeps you moving on into the late game draft. This piece was actually very, very different because I'm moving the canvas instead of my brushstroke. So I used a fixed angle on my brushstroke, which can be found in my sketching set, and that's the marker, heavy marker sketch set. And I am moving using the rotation tool, I'm moving my canvas. So what we see here is just a lot of the same blocking, zooming out. We've all been in the same zoom out for all of these paint. I hardly zoomed in. Maybe in the second piece, with the brown-eyed Daphne Keane lookalike, they're all brown-eyed. I zoomed in a little bit for the soft brush and the detail in the eyes, but that's because I just wanted to show a little bit more of the process of that painting. But yeah, please remember that if you are currently working on a portrait and you're entering that why the hell am I still here on this portrait stage, don't give up. Give it a second. Zoom out. Capture some of the most essential brushstrokes. Get a good reference. Respect your reference. Don't just get a reference and have it sitting on the corner of the room sucking its thumb and you completely ignored it. Why look it up if you're not going to look at it? Grab it, look at it well, spend it like while you're eating, if you're eating before doing your portrait, while you're eating, instead of watching something, just stare at the painting or the reference, that you're about to use. It'll give you more live time with your reference so that you're bringing more information back when you start the painting. But with these brush strokes there, you're going to build a confidence. That confidence is going to build a wall against your fear of failure, and though it'll still be there, it won't be able to damage your technique and your workflow. That workflow has a point of end. It has an ending. It may seem like it'll never end, but every painting has a final brushstroke. Just think of it like that. Isn't that a beautiful thought? Every painting has a final brushstroke, and you will get to that final brushstroke, and you will say, "Wow, I like this," and I'm happy with it. And if that's not a successful painting, the next one and the one after that. All of these paintings started off really shoddy. I just have no other word for that other than that. They started off really crappy. And they all ended pretty well. And they're some of my more successful portfolio pieces. And it's all because of these techniques. Thank you guys for watching. Bye, guys.